Okay, so I'm back from my vacation. Actually, I've been back for about 2 weeks now, and truthfully, I didn't go anywhere, so I'm not sure if you can say that I'm back. But my vacation is over, and if you remember, I said that during my vacation I would be giving up my smartphone and switching to a flip phone. So, how did that experience go? Did I survive it? And if I did, what did I learn from it? So, welcome back. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Also, hitting the like button supposedly helps the video to get recommended more. Also, if you would, please share this video with others. That would be really helpful. This is really a follow-up video because I wanted to give you a report, a recap on how my flip phone experiment went. But in the end, I want to bring this back to prayer and how this experiment might help us with our own prayer life. But first, let me start with a couple of confessions. Number one, I didn't exactly go the full time without the smartphone, but it wasn't from a lack of willpower. I didn't break down and turn on my phone. What happened was that I didn't port my phone number over to the flip phone. I just got a new phone with a new number, but I only gave the number to a few people who might have needed to contact me in case of emergency. Well, a couple of times I did have to get in touch with someone, so I had to go back to the smartphone, turn it on, send a text, and then put it away again. But that only happened a couple of times, 3 times, okay, 4, but that was it. And the first thing I noticed was how hard it was to turn off my phone. I was all excited about giving up the smartphone for a couple of weeks, but when it came time to actually turn it off, I hesitated. It was almost like there was something telling me, don't do it. Maybe I'd become too attached to my phone, or maybe I was afraid to give it up. I don't know. But there was a hesitation, a brief hesitation, before I finally turned it off. So, what did I like about switching to the flip phone? Well, number one, there was the lack of notifications. I said before that notifications on a smartphone are like having someone, tap you on the shoulder every 5 seconds. And you know how it goes. You get a notification, you pick up your phone to check it out, and while you're there, well, you might as well check your email, you might as well check your social media, and suddenly you're on the phone for 20 minutes. It's a trap. It's a trap! The second thing I liked was not feeling the flinch. What is the flinch? Well, the flinch is that reflex that makes you want to look at your phone every so often for no reason at all. Even if there isn't a notification. But with the flip phone, I knew that there was nothing that it could tell me except the time. So I knew that there was no reason to look at it. So it stayed in my pocket. I didn't have that temptation, that urge, that flinch to pull out my phone and look at it. And so as a result, there was less screen time. I still had my laptop and my iPad, but I don't carry those with me everywhere. Without the smartphone, I was definitely looking at screens a lot less. And I thought that I felt more focused. There are plenty of studies that tell us about some bad side effects that come with too much screen time. And like I said, I just thought that I felt more focused. So what didn't I like? Going without the smartphone definitely required some adjustments. And the first was with note-taking. I always jot down notes, thoughts, ideas that pop in my head on my smartphone. It's usually the quickest way to get some thought written down somewhere. But note-taking is pretty difficult on the flip phone. There were times when I had an idea, and it was frustrating that I couldn't jot it down anywhere. Like many of you, I've also gotten used to being able to look up something on the internet when I had a question, but web browsing on a flip phone is a pretty bad experience. So I had to wait until I got home to find the answer. And you know what I found out? that was okay. It was okay to wait. You also can't listen to podcasts on a flip phone, which is something that I like to do on my smartphone. And there were some other inconveniences. I missed not having the camera, a few apps that I use. But these were minor things, and I adjusted to not having them pretty easily. So, am I giving up the smartphone for good? It's tempting, but no. There are just too many things that I need the smartphone for, or at least it makes a lot of things that I do more convenient. But that doesn't change the fact that the flip phone is far less distracting, which is what I loved about it. So with the smartphone, you're basically trading the convenience for the distractions. You're trading the convenience for something that may affect your focus. And this is where we consider its effect on prayer. Prayer requires the ability to be silent, to be still, to be focused on the one with whom we want to converse. And that's not an easy thing for us to do, especially if my ability to focus has been compromised by overstimulation. And maybe that's not you. Maybe all the stimulation of your smartphone doesn't bother you at all. But I think it does for many, if not most people, even if they don't realize it. I think that constant notifications, the pull to always want to look at your phone in case you miss something, the amount of screen time, they all work together to compromise our ability to focus, which in turn compromises our ability to pray. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people struggle with silence. I think as a whole, our culture is allergic to silence. It doesn't know what to do with it because it's used to being surrounded by so much stimulation. For many people, the smartphone is a kind of coping device that helps them to overcome that uncomfortable condition of silence. The smartphone sort of breaks the silence with visual noise. When the anxiety of silence hits, turning on the smartphone is like a shot of stimulation that eases that anxiety and makes it go away. But here's the thing, silence is a good thing. For prayer, it's a necessary thing. And so we need to work to cultivate it. We need to make room for it in our daily life. And we need to know what to do with silence. St. John of the Cross once wrote, "God's first language is silence." Cardinal Robert Sarah said, "Silence is more important than any other human work." I love how he refers to silence as work, because we have to work at it. St. Teresa of Calcutta said, "The fruit of silence is prayer." In the first book of Kings, we read that Elijah found God not in the violent storm or the shaking of the earth or in the blazing fire, but in the silence. So we need to think about it. What do we trade for the convenience of the smartphone? And is it worth it? Now, the smartphone isn't going away anytime soon, and you may be someone for whom the smartphone is a necessary tool. If that's the case, then I need to know how to integrate it in my life so that it doesn't become an unhealthy thing for me or something that is an obstacle to my prayer. So how can we do that? How can we integrate the smartphone in our life properly, in a healthy way? Well, one thing that I've done is remove email from my phone. For me, at least, when I look at my email, a very small percentage of it is what I would call urgent, something that I need to know now and I need to respond to right away. A small percentage of email falls under that category. And yet, for some reason, I used to check my email all the time. I think it's also worth learning how to not respond to text messages right away. One thing that bothers me about text messaging is how we've created this expectation that we have to respond right away. Sometimes I will, if it warrants it, but a lot of times I won't. The problem is if you respond to notifications right away, you're basically letting your phone control your life. And that, of course, is never a healthy thing. Third, I would turn off all non-essential notifications. There are a lot of things that your friend will tap you on the shoulder about that you don't really need to know right away. Obviously, you keep the essential notifications on, but non-essential ones, you turn that off. And along with that, learn how to use the Do Not Disturb functions on your phone. Those are very handy. And then have designated times when your phone is off, like, for example, in the church, or even have it physically away from your person. And finally, I firmly believe that children below a certain age should not have a smartphone. They challenge our focus enough as adults. How much more for young people whose minds are still developing and who are maybe not mature enough yet to be able to focus easily? Are we handicapping them by putting one of these in their pockets? Not to mention, are you comfortable with putting the whole internet in their pocket? I think a flip phone is a great thing for young people. Retro seems to be cool right now. You could call it a retro phone. But I also came across something called a light phone. It's basically a phone with a screen like a Kindle. It doesn't do social media apps or web browsing, but it can play music and podcasts and, of course, text and make phone calls. So just a thing that maybe some of you might want to consider for any young people in your life. So this was a really long video. I didn't even get into privacy concerns, which you don't have with a flip phone because there are no apps to collect information. But if you're still here, thank you. Let me know in the comments below that you made it this far, or any other comments that you want to share. I'd be interested in reading your thoughts about smartphones, flip phones, and prayer. Again, like and subscribe. That would really help. And I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.